What up, YouTube Lakes? Coming back at you with another StarCraft 2 cast. On the bottom right-hand side of the map, we have our red Protoss player Boomhauer, and on the top left-hand side of the map, we have our blue Terran player Dice. This is a grandmaster level game. Both players are around 5.2k MMR, so it should be a very fun match to watch indeed. If you're new to my channel, you should know that my goal is to cast games from the general ladder, ranging anywhere from bronze up to masters, just because I feel like the general ladder does not get enough love where casting is involved, and I do think it's cool to see the strategies from different leagues and different proficiencies in this game, but I will mix in some GM level games as well just to spice things up, and I do like to have a variety here, so we are going to see some more advanced games and plays than we are used to seeing from my channel, and this should be very, very fun to watch indeed. We do have this probe just being a troll right now, pacing around the base of the enemy Terran player. The wall isn't quite perfect, but that's no big deal because we will likely have an extension on this building at some point soon. This is a double gas opening, so we might see some more gas intensive production coming from this Terran player. I think this is going to be a very fast factory, and we do have the Reaper coming out. This is going to be likely to throw down some harassment here and possibly catch this probe while it is trying to run away, but the timing is very good. But I think this probe is actually going to get caught by this Reaper if it doesn't move. This Reaper is rallied right here, man, and just the game sense from these players, they know exactly where these players are going to be moving. This probe trying to run away. Boomhauer saying hacks with a winky face, Dice throwing some banter, you're funny. Love to see it. Just as I was talking about game sense, Boomhauer calling the hacks, but it's all jokes. Very funny. Love to see some good banter here. I do like the placement of these buildings. They will be able to spot. The Reaper trying to jump into the base if he does come from this side, and I don't really think he can come from any other side here unless he tries to go from the lower end of the base and go up the ramp, but at that point he's already going to give away his position here. We do have the Adept scouting just to make sure there's no weird cheese coming from this end of the map here. Both players are expanding. I think this Nexus is going to be established just a little bit faster, but we will have the mules that will be able to catch up the Terran in economy here. We have another Reaper out on the map, which is interesting. It looks like it's going to be a Reaper Hellion push, which I don't think we usually see in PvT, just because both Hellions and Reapers are vulnerable to Stalkers. Stalkers are very good at handling these units here, and this wall, I think, will deny the entry here for just a little bit, but this is not enough units to take on this little push here by the Terran player, and he is going to go for the mineral line. It looks like this Stalker here desperately trying to help. Great reaction time by Boomhauer, trying to run these probes away and psyching out the Terran player. Immediately going for the surround on those Reapers as soon as the Hellion goes down. Keep in mind, the Hellion is very good at dealing splash damage against probes and bio units, but as soon as that Hellion went down, those probes with the support of these Stalkers would do a decent job at holding that push by the Terran player. And it looks like these Stalkers going in for a counterattack. Taking a look at the units lost here, this was still relatively decent. Seven workers killed by the Terran player at the cost of what I think was 2 or 3 Hellions and a few Reapers. Ultimately, not the worst trade. We do have a forward pylon here. I wonder if this is going to be... It's going to be DTs. Took the words right out of my mouth. I was thinking either Blink Stalker or DT, and I love the positioning here. Hiding hiding the Dark Shrine from the Terran player. If the Terran player does scout the Twilight Council or feels suspicious, he might actually think this is going to be Blink Stalkers, especially based on the fact that Blink is already done. But I think these are almost like fake Blink Stalkers. Blink Stalkers will be very good in the later game, but this might put Terran in a sense of false security, thinking that, okay, this is going to be some sort of Blink Stalker all-in, prepares for that while we have DTs. But at the same time, there is a Raven here for the Terran player, so this is going to detect the DTs. He might be better off going for Archons, which will do a great job at sniping the Marines, while the Blink Stalkers can blink in and snipe the siege tanks. So I am curious if Boomhauer is going to commit to that DT play. It looks like he is setting himself up for some sort of harassment, keeping an eye on the third base location for the Terran player as well. It looks like in terms of worker count, Protoss slightly ahead in workers, but not by much. It's 46 workers to 43. Army supply heavily, I want to say, in favor of the Terran player. 47 army supply to 30. So Terran slightly ahead, but it does look like we have DTs here. They are just biding their time right now, maybe waiting until this Raven gets out of position here. The rest of the Terran army moving in for the kill. This actually might give the DTs an opening to go harass the mineral line while this Raven is trying to fly in with the rest of the Terran army. So this is going to be very interesting depending on what Boomhauer decides to do. And it does look like on the minimap we see the DTs running towards the Terran base, briefly stopping here. These rocks getting attacked by the Terran army. This will give them a position, the opportunity to take this position here instead of being stuck in this slow circle here. Taking a look, this is a lot of stalkers getting killed by the Terran army at the same time, though. It looks like these DTs doing a lot of work. Taking a look at the workers killed here, 14 workers, 15 workers, 16 workers killed by those DTs, and great micro here behind this, keeping a lot of the stalkers alive. The blink micro taking out most of the bio units, and now the Terran army retreating back home. But this DT, 5 kills. I think the second DT was killed by the Terran army here, but this DT still wreaking havoc on the Terran base. This is going to cost him a lot of economy here. This base is not mining anymore, and this DT is just going ham on this command center. Ultimately, it will be able to lift off. This DT somehow still alive through that tank fire, but right now it looks like Dice is on his heels, going back into a more defensive position here. This DT trying to run away from the scan does get hidden. I don't think it's worth recalling, though. This DT might be able to snipe this this missile turret here, but ultimately Dice throwing down the scan, able to bait that DT into trying to kill this SCV here and denying the missile turret, and ultimately killing that DT after throwing down the scan. We do have some very beefy zealots here with charge. I love that skin. I don't think I've actually seen that skin before. But anyway, what a jam-packed game. 21 workers killed to 7. I want to say this is going to put Boomhauer in a very, very, very good position right here. The little things in the high-level games do count, and losing 27 workers, 3 times the amount of workers to your opponent, that is going to be very, very significant in the long run. But Dice doing a great job at macroing behind this anyway. 65 army supply to 51 in favor of the Terran player here. And this army very strong against stalkers. Even if they do have blink, I would like to see Storm or Archons. He does have the tech for Archons, but unfortunately this is a very, very strong army. Marines, Stim Marines backed by tanks, just so good. And we do have the Disruptor here. So Boomhauer way ahead of me, but Dice throwing out some very, very good splits. Decent force fields by our red Protoss player here. Dice is doing a great job at not overextending himself, staying within the fire of the tanks, making sure he has that support. Man, the skin that Boomhauer's got, these Archons look so crazy, man. Zealots going for the snipe around the tanks, able to take one great shot from that disruptor, able to take out the second one while the rest of the Protoss army was able to take out the second and third tank. That was so good. These stalkers going in, trying to snipe out some straggling Marines here. Boomhauer able to spot the third base location for the blue Terran player here, but this is still 70, almost 70 army supply to 41 in favor of the Terran player. So Dice in a pretty good position, all things considered, losing so many workers in the middle of that game there. Now it's 52 workers to 66, so Dice is catching up in worker supply as well, and still ahead in army supply, able to snipe that disruptor and blinding this Colossus here, both of these Colossi. This will reduce the DPS for the Protoss player significantly, and now we have this bio army here able to go into the natural base location of the Protoss player. This siege tank sieging up right next to the escape path of these probes. These probes will go down. A good amount of them do. This tank getting 12 kills. Taking a look at the unit's loss tab here, this is evening out the game significantly for Dice. Now it's almost even workers killed for both players. Great pickup by Dice, able to save that tank in the nick of time there. Great warping by those Zealots, able to briefly get the surround. These Colossi putting in loads of DPS. These DTs able to snipe that tank. Oh my god. This game is just non-stop right now. I really don't know. Taking a look at the unit's loss tab here, it is in favor of the blue Terran player by almost half. So I want to say Dice is slightly ahead here, but based on the micro we've been seeing and the macro behind it, I still want to say it's anybody's game. But taking a look at the army supply, this is 83 army to 28 in favor of the Terran player. So he is just being a macro god right now, losing so many workers and still being able to be so far ahead in supply of his opponent here. At the same time, though, we have to consider that these Colossi are worth a lot of Marines. So they are able to do significant splash damage. The only issue here is there is not a lot of anti-air, and these Vikings will be able to snipe those Colossi freely. We have tanks behind this as well, and a lot of detection. So I think this might be it. It's only 17 army supply to 91 in favor of our blue Terran player. And it does look like Boomhauer is trying to bide his time here to macro up just a little bit to see if he can do anything, but no, decides to throw out the GG, leaving the game, giving the victory to our blue Terran player Dice. Overall, good-mannered game. Some banter there in the beginning. And, yeah, even though Boomhauer was able to take out 17 workers in the middle of the game there, Dice just throwing out some insane macro and was still ahead in army supply the majority of that game and ultimately overrunning his opponent. As we can see, 15 army supply to 97 in the end there. Boomhauer realizing his position, throwing out the GG and leaving the game. So very cool. This is not something we normally see on my channel, but I will mix in some GM level games on top of the general games that we do see from the ladder. So if you enjoyed what you saw, please consider shooting me a like and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. And if you want me to cast some of your own games, I will leave my email in the description below. And with that, I'll see you guys on the next one.